Everybody, welcome to the channel. If you see this camera, you probably know what's going on, right? We're gonna do a tutorial. Yes, a tutorial. If you guys watched last week's video, we did Santa Claus in the chimney, just kind of popping out. I'm gonna walk you guys through that step-by-step, cut for cut. But first things first, you guys gotta make sure you have your safety gear, chaps, pair of safety shoes. It's always a good idea to have ear protection, eye protection, dust mask, gloves. If you don't wanna wear those things, you don't have those last couple things, whatever, you take your chances. Now, a few other things you guys are gonna need. I recommend a jaw horse. It holds your piece tightly in place so it doesn't have to move around, right? You don't want this thing to move when you're cutting it. If you don't have that, you guys can screw a board to the bottom that sticks out, flip it over, and screw it down to a bigger log, all right? You don't want this thing moving around on you because we're not carving a very big piece. Another thing, your chainsaw. I'm not using a big saw, and I'm not using a super small saw. This would be about the equivalent of running your MS 170 or a 180. This bar is a little bit smaller, but we're still running that Pico chain, which is really small 43 gauge chain. So that's what you want, right? Small chain. If you got a dime tip bar, use it. If you don't, you'll be all right. Next, angle grinder. I'm just gonna be using this angle grinder right here with an 80 grit flap disc. If you have Saburrtooth burrs, go ahead and use those. I'm using the flap disc because a lot of you just have that, so I figured it'd be easier to use what you're using. Now, if you have a die grinder, I'll be using the die grinder a little bit with a flame Saburrtooth burr as well, 1/4 inch shaft. That's the green coarse burr from Saburrtooth. I think my code still works, so if you need tools from Saburrtooth, you guys go ahead and try code HALL10, H-A-L-L 10. All capitals, all right? Get a little discount on your next Saburrtooth purchase. If you guys have one, you can use a flap sander as well when we're done, and you'll need a little torch, whether it's a Coleman propane torch, 1 pounder, a mini torch, or a big torch, just some kind of small torch. A couple other things. I know we need a lot of stuff, right? But I wanna make sure you're ready to go. You're gonna need some white spray paint, gray or rock textured paint. And I recommend 2 different reds. One that's more like a dark burgundy and just a bright red spray paint. Let me think, did I cover it all? Do we have everything? I think that's all you're gonna need. Now, like I said, you do not need the die grinder, you do not need the flap sander, okay? Those are just extra little things to help with the details if you want. You do not need a dime tip bar either on your chainsaw, okay guys? Whew, that is a long intro. Sorry for the wind, it's getting crazy. From here on out, we'll do a voiceover over top of the video so we don't have all this extra crazy noise going on, okay? If you're still here and you're still sticking around, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all. Make sure YouTube notifications are on, guys, because I do a lot of tutorials, we do a lot of chainsaw carving and a bunch of other cool stuff, and you guys don't want to miss out. I don't want you to miss out, all right? Also, real quick, right here in the beginning, thank you to all my members. You guys rock. Really appreciate you being a monthly member to my channel. You guys help support this channel, doing what I do. This is what I do full time, carving, creating art, and selling the things that I make. And so by you guys buying me a coffee and being on different tiers and all these other things, I really do appreciate it. It helps me out, and thank you. So, without too much more chit chat right here like this, let's get these chainsaws ready. Let's start making some sawdust.
All right, guys, here we go. First things first, we got to make the bottom of this square or in a rectangle shape. Now you can use a wood crayon. I get the brand Dixon. I get those off Amazon. There should be a link down in the description. You guys can get those through. Now, as you can see, we're just doing some straight lines down. Kind of going to have a square chimney for this Santa. Did I say snowman? We got to make a square base for the chimney of Santa. Santa will be coming up out of the chimney, so we're kind of squaring it off. Now, this log's about 12, 13 inches tall, so I'm only going down a little less than halfway or so, because we want to be able to still create a square lip that's going to go around the chimney. This area that we've just blocked off will be the blocks, okay? So I know it's a cut for cut, but most of it is like close-ups, as you guys can see. I tried to walk you through and talk you through as many of the cut details as possible. So right here, we're just going down about the height of the bar, maybe a little bit less, and we're leaving just a little bit of meat. As you guys can see there, next to the chimney, we've kind of left that little bit. That's going to be the line that goes around the top of the chimney, the concrete area, the area you're going to paint gray or with stone paint to make it kind of stand out. Now while it's upside down, kind of like any piece, if you're working with it upside down, throw your initials on the bottom and then boom, they're there, you're done. Now with that crayon, we're also going to go ahead and start working on our chimney blocks. The idea is obviously just those red blocks that they make chimneys out of, and this is a pretty simple pattern. As you guys can see, I drew a line all the way around, kind of pointing at them. You guys can see a little bit better on the left side, but a single block and two ends is basically the concept. Very easy. So now we're going to cut in only the height of the chain or the tooth on your bar. So it's roughly, you know, 1/4 of an inch. We're not going very deep. We're just making our lines. Get them close, right? Just go in a little bit and cut to each line. Like this one, cut to that, and you're done. Once that's done, it's already upside down and in the vise. We might as well get the sanding out of the way. Now this is just the angle grinder. This is a paddle switch angle grinder. I've switched all my angle grinders to paddle switch. Now the benefits of that are if this gets away from you, slips out of your hand, comes out of your hand, grabs, flies across the shop, it shuts off. The switch grinders do not shut off. So if you got a really crazy grit on here, you know, it could mess you up. This thing could be on the ground flopping around because there's no way to shut it off until you pick it up or you unplug it. So just a little tip. Once you've sanded, flip it back over. You got that nice square base, fit perfectly in the jaw horse. Now what I'm doing is talking about drawing where the nose will be for Santa under the hat. Taking our crayon and having the hat come up over the nose and kind of swooping it down around. Now the rim of the hat will have a white strip, right? The fuzzy strip of the hat. That's kind of what we're drawing on here. So we have an idea how tall that's going to be and how that's kind of going to shape around his nose and around the head area. Now there will be a lot of little cuts, and a lot of this is going to be trial and error in feeling it out. As you're cutting, just kind of think like small wedges, triangular shapes, wedge shapes. That's kind of what you're going for. So you make a cut and then kind of wedge in and cut, you know, cut to that line, removing that triangular shape. A lot of it you're going to have to kind of see it ahead. You know, you kind of got to think it through a little bit. Just kind of think about what you're doing and where those cuts are going. Once we're here though, you know, we're kind of cutting up to those lines. See that? And leave sort of a wedge shape. Making little lines, just removing material. I want to leave a little bit of edge for the top of the chimney. We also kind of made that round nose. As you guys can see, the nose sticks out past the chimney, kind of giving it a big nose, but that'll get shaped back once we get into the piece a little bit farther. Sometimes that's the toughest part, is just removing a little bit of material or a lot of material in that hard to reach kind of spot. A little bit of an angle cut as we're putting a little shape to that nose, kind of rounding it over some, making it a round piece. Now the nose of your bar can be used as a sander. As you guys can see here, I'm sort of scraping. This is about having control, having a good grip, and just using those forearms and your shoulders and stuff and just sort of controlling the saw. So it doesn't just grab and rip out of your hands and cut through your piece, but you're controlling what the saw is doing. Now we're following the upper line, so we kind of know where things are going to be. Now this is where I'm kind of feeling it out. As you can see with my hand, I'm kind of saying this is where the top of the hat's going to be and this is where the ball will be. So we're kind of just making some marks with the saw and kind of gauging all that. There's the ball for the top of Santa's hat, and now it'll be just making cuts across the piece and slimming that down. Slim the hat down. I don't want it to be as big as it is here. It's just too bulky. It looks weird. So we're just slimming all that down, and these are basically like an angle cut. So we're cutting down and away from the top of the hat, and we're cutting to the line that we've already marked in. Right? See where I stopped cutting there at the bottom? I know there's a lot going on, right? It's tough to explain every little cut, but you kind of have to, you know, sketch up or look at your end result or piece that you want to do and sort of go from there. A lot of times I'm able to have that end result in my head already because I've studied some other pieces, or I just have the idea, and so that's what I'm shaping to. There's not always a defined, you have to do it just like this. Like there's just, It just doesn't work that way for me, and I don't think it works that way for all of you guys either. A lot of times it's just doing it yourself and feeling it out. So here we're making lines on the top. So that's how narrow I want the top of that hat to be, where those lines are. So what that means is now I'm going to start working on removing that material. Had an issue with my GoPro, so that second view is going to be gone for a little bit, but we'll at least have this view here. Now what I'm doing is working on shaping the hat there and thinning it out, the piece that's kind of going to stick out away from the hat a little, holding the ball. Cutting up to our line, rounding, thinking about how much of the head is inside the hat, right? Because we're kind of making the head shape, top of the head, in the hat. And in this case, the whole hat's over his eyes and just down touching the nose. So that means the eyes, the forehead, the eyebrows, and then his hair is all up inside the hat. Just things to kind of think about while you're creating, right? Am I making it tall enough? Am I making it wide enough, thick enough? You know, whatever it is to create the look that you're going for. So there's a lot of things you got to kind of think out. It's also not a bad idea to sketch things up and you know, study pictures to help you along. Now, I said, guys, you're going to want to watch this video in the last video. Last video, I believe it was, hey, keep an eye out for the next tutorial because we're going to be doing a giveaway in December, right? Now, December giveaway, yeah, I think I'll give you guys most of the details here. You're going to have to enter a snowman. That's what you're going to have to do this year. You're going to have to enter a snowman carving. If you're not sure how to carve one up, jump on over. I'll have the video popping up here somewhere. Top right corner of the screen. You guys will be able to click that and go to my snowman tutorial. I don't care if it's chainsaw carved. I don't care if it's carved with a knife. I don't care if it's carved with Dremels. I don't care if you use your teeth. It's just got to be a snowman carved out of wood with whatever tools you choose to use. If you use an axe, if you use, I don't know, whatever. It's got to be carved out of wood. That is the only real, you know, guideline. It's got to be a snowman. It's got to be carved out of wood. Now, in order to enter, you guys will have to be friends on my Facebook group, Kyle Hall Woodworker New Carvers. So look that up on Facebook, answer all the questions, and I'll let you in the group. Now, I do not have the entry post there quite yet, so that's probably going to be in a week or so. I will put the post up and probably a short video on here to remind you guys to go and enter. At that time, we'll also discuss when the drawing is going to be. But this right here, this is the heads up. Start working on your snowman for the contest. All right, guys? Hopefully you didn't skip ahead and miss all this because I just gave you those details. And if you're going to enter that and you heard it here, comment below, I'm in. And then I know. I have an idea how many people are actually going to do this thing, right? I know some people are going to be bent out of shape because it's through Facebook. You know, it really is the easiest way for me to keep track and to keep it all fair and in order. Now, your snowman is not going to be, you know, we're not going to pick the coolest, the best, the most awesome. We're not going to pick the worst. It doesn't work that way. You go, once I have that all set up and, you know, I make the post, which I will announce, you'll be able to enter your snowman under that specific post. And what'll happen is all the names will be entered once. This is for one snowman. And, you know, you'll enter one picture of your snowman at that time. Now, again, I don't have a post up yet for those entries, but I will be getting that out probably sometime in the next week or two. And I'll make sure it's all known for all of you. But yeah, that's it. Snowman. We're going to be giving away a die grinder along with a few bits from Saburrtooth tools to go along with that die grinder, okay? So if you guys want an opportunity to win that, start carving your snowman and watch the next couple videos over the next week or two so that you, you know when it's time to enter your piece. All right, so as you can see here, guys, we cut to the top line of the rim of the hat, right? And then I was using the bar to kind of shape. That's all we're doing here. There's not a lot. This is why I'm talking over a bunch of this, because it's just, a lot of it's just minor shaping. Scraping and shaping. See right here. Scraping and shaping. Scraping and shaping. So go through, do that wherever you got to do that. Get everything rounded off and shaped over. And then really, honestly, It's time to move it in to the angle grinder. Alright guys, there it is. Angle grinder with an 80-inch flap disc. Now, if you've got the medium grit to the fine grit Saburrtooth discs, they should work just as fine. All we're doing is smoothing things out so we don't have that rough chainsaw look, right? And I'm keeping it simple. There's other tools you could use, I'm sure. This works well, right? We've made big cuts. There's not super fine detail that's got to be done here. Now we're just sanding and smoothing it out. So go around your whole piece. Don't round off your chimney edges, but round off any of Santa's face, nose, and hat edges. Kind of make things rounded and clean. What I'm going to do is jump through this sanding because it's kind of like watching paint dry. We're just sanding, guys. Manipulate that sander however you got to make it work. Have a good grip on it. You should probably leave the guard on yours. It's a whole lot safer than mine. And let's burn it. Alright, now I said early on you guys were gonna need a torch. Right now we're just hitting the fuzzies, right? Getting the fuzzies off everything. Be careful how dark you burn it. Where your white is gonna be, okay? So like I like to darken the bricks a little bit so that the reds have some contrast down there and a little bit darker red than the hat and things, even though we're gonna use a burgundy and a bright red. Gives it a little bit of character on the bricks, kind of makes it pop. Boy, that camera on the right, that thing is acting up. I don't know how much longer that GoPro is going to last. You guys can see it. That thing is just giving me one heck of a time. So it's really tough to see here. I know I'm sorry about the camera angles. We're using a piece of cardboard to block off areas that we do not want red paint on. Now this can help out a lot because if you get a lot of overspray, that's a lot of extra added sanding. And for a piece you're going to sell for 40 to 50 bucks, you don't want to have to do any extra work on it than you have to. Alright, as you can see, boom, I'm using this stone textured paint. You guys could just use a gray, any color you really want to kind of do this area. Blocking off the red though. Not so much worried about the top because we're going to put other paint on there. I like to do my white on the hat next. Now no paint really goes on the nose of the face. We leave that wood colored. As you guys can see, just blocking things off again with that cardboard. It works well. You cut some little basic shapes out of it, you know, a little swoop into the cardboard, a rounded edge, a little bit of a C shape for your curves, and it works really, really great. So, red paint here. I did not do the ball on the hat, just in case for some reason I have to move it. I have one dry spot, right? We do that last right before I'm done. We'll put a little bit of white where that hat is. Hey guys, check it out. There he is, your Santa Claus in the chimney. All right, he's just got a round nose, kind of like the gnomes people do, right? He's just got this little nose popping out, little round nose, and his hat. Very simple carving. We're not looking for like a ton of detail here, but yeah, pretty basic, pretty easy little guy. Now I'm thinking this is something you guys could sell $30 to $50 at most. Just quick carves. It's going to depend on how much more time or detail you put into it or you don't put into it. Now real quick like this, I'm going to put probably 40 bucks on these, maybe 45. They're not very big, little over a foot tall, and yeah, I think people are going to love them. Like I said, I haven't done a ton of these. These are a first for me, but that's my plan for pricing. Nothing crazy, just kind of like quick sale kind of items. Now if you guys are still here and you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't already. When you guys hit subscribe, hit that bell and hit all. If you are already subscribed, you should always go back and make sure that you've hit the bell so that you get all my notifications. You also want to make sure that your YouTube notifications are turned on because I know some people are missing new videos. Plus, be sure to give me a comment. Also, if you guys are interested, I've got channel merch available down in the description. Just above it, there's a little box below the video, kind of in that area. You guys can go get some Kyle Hall Woodworker merch. Great gifts for everybody this time of year, maybe even a gift for yourself. If you guys are interested in purchasing my work, you guys can check out the Etsy store link in the description below. You can buy a lot of different things that I create, whether it's chainsaw art or home decor. I got all kinds of stuff on there, you guys. But really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it'll help you start creating some art and having some fun. Make sure you guys are being safe.